how developers can use technologies like automation to make their work more efficient, to work faster and do less mistakes?
Yeah. So what I speak about here is in the bank we have a lot of requirements to work in Saxo Bank, and we have a lot of requirements to assign and audit accesses and to databases and things. And there's a lot of different processes for the developers. They need to go to ServiceNow or send an email or talk to the guy in the other department. And what we are trying to do is to take all of our services that is defined in our ServiceNow and then make a file that represents the service where the developers can ask for what they need. This gives the developers a better process because they only need to go into one place. But it also gives the enterprise architects a better overview of what they accept. Because if somebody asks enterprise architects, can I have this firewall rule? How should enterprise architects know? But enterprise architects know who should read what data and which service should call with what service, which other service. And therefore, having this very high level definition of the service really helps us take those decisions, and the enterprise architects can very early in the process challenge the developers' decisions. This makes everyone more happy because developers doesn't waste their time making stuff that is then rejected afterwards. And it also helps a lot with our audits, so we can extract all of these pull requests from these changes in these files when certain things were put in, and we can then send them to for example, the Switzerland government if it's about accessing Swiss data, for example. Yeah. And the developers, they like it a lot because it's very familiar to what they already do when they do development in Kubernetes. We have built it on something called Spotify Backstage, which I would recommend to look up. It's an open source tool, and they have a very similar process as if you were doing other development in Kubernetes. So for developers, it's very familiar. It's a different thing for the approvers, who now needs to be developers also, but we can teach them, of course. So that's why it becomes easier for the developer and faster. And if we ever redeploy everything, then we can assign all of the things straight away, so we can get up and running very quickly, which we have to as a bank.
So you explained the process of what's going at the backstage, and my next question is, what's in this automation is for customers? I mean, for the customers of the bank, what's the benefit for them of running this in this way?
Yeah, so of course our customers is the internal developers, but we also have the actual customers of the bank who uses our app and our other platforms. And of course, nothing that we do here directly affects the end user. But since the developer spends much less time on things they shouldn't spend time on, for example, figuring out how to deploy something to Azure that they need to do one time, or how do I make a pipeline with all change control and all the things that are required in the bank, it takes a lot of that work off the shoulders of the developer, which means that developers can focus at what they are good at, because that's making financial code and working with the data we have rather than learning how to deploy infrastructure. So the saying about DevOps that we've been doing for many years, we had a saying that said, you build it, you run it, you own it. But within the last 4 or 5 years, we've realized that since we have 4 or 5 big platforms, Snowflake, Data Lake, Kafka, SQL, and Kubernetes, and Elasticsearch, it's really better to centralize some of the things again, rather than having 800 or 1,000 developers learn how to do Azure. Yeah. So I think that's...
Thank you.
Thank you.